48 hours. That's how long A'ja Wilson's record-breaking contract stood at the top of the WNBA before it was overtaken not by hype, but by a new system quietly reshaping the league from within. And the question almost no one saw coming is this: how do you celebrate a record when the rules that created it are already changing? What looked like a milestone quickly turned into something else entirely, a power shift happening in real time. Aliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark, A'ja Wilson. 3 names, 3 different positions, in a league suddenly moving faster than its own history can keep up with. Because this isn't just about contracts anymore.
A tentative deal on a new contract. Sources telling NBC News that it will increase player salaries.
It's about who controls the future of the game and how quickly that control can change hands without warning. A'ja Wilson contract. To truly understand why A'ja Wilson's contract was supposed to be the defining moment of this new era, you have to understand the world that existed before it. Because the gap between what was and what is now, it's not a gap. It's a canyon. For years, decades, honestly, the WNBA's pay structure was a source of quiet embarrassment for everyone involved. The highest paid player in the entire league in 2025 was earning roughly $250,000 a year. Let that number sit with you for a second. The most dominant basketball player on the planet, male or female, in the absolute prime of her career, making less than a regional sales director at a mid-sized tech company. Wilson herself had earned approximately $1.03 million across her entire 8-year career. Combined. Total. All of it. That's less than what she would now earn in a single season under her new deal. She wasn't even among the WNBA's 20 highest paid players last year, and she was the league's reigning MVP.
Former Gamecock A'ja Wilson, the Columbia native, has now been named the WNBA's 2024 MVP.
That's not a typo. That was the reality. The disconnect was staggering. Wilson was selling jerseys, filling arenas, winning championships, appearing on national magazine covers, and getting paid like a part-time consultant. The players knew it, the fans knew it, even the league office knew it. But the old CBA, the old economic structure, the old television deals, they all conspired to keep the ceiling impossibly low. Then everything cracked open. In March 2026, the WNBA and the Players Association finalized a new collective bargaining agreement that WNBPA President Nneka Ogwumike called transformational. And she wasn't exaggerating. The salary cap jumped from $1.5 million to $7 million per team, nearly a 5-fold increase. The Supermax salary rocketed to $1.4 million annually. Revenue sharing expanded. Travel improved. The financial floor beneath every player in the league rose dramatically. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert called it the largest pay increase in sports history. And when the ink dried, the first player standing at the front of the line was exactly who everyone expected: A'ja Wilson. Her resume reads like fiction. 4-time MVP, the only player in WNBA history to win that award 4 times.
The 4-time MVP coming off of a historic 2025 season where she won league MVP.
3 championships in 4 years with the Las Vegas Aces. Defensive Player of the Year, Finals MVP, multiple All-Star selections. She didn't just play the game at the highest level, she was the highest level. The standard that everyone else measured themselves against. So when ESPN's Shams Charania reported on April 15th that Wilson had agreed to a 3-year, $5 million Supermax deal, fully guaranteed, negotiated by J. Lee English of Clutch Sports Group, the reaction was unanimous. This was right. This was earned. This was overdue. The league was finally saying, in the only language that truly matters in professional sports, we see your value, and here's the number to prove it. Wilson's deal was the first Supermax contract in WNBA history, the largest total guarantee, the highest annual salary ever paid to a women's basketball player. Headlines lit up across every major outlet. Social media celebrated. Commentators hailed it as a turning point for women's sports globally. The narrative was perfect. The Queen had her crown for about 48 hours. CBA, rule change. Now, I need to explain something here that most people scrolling through the headlines completely missed. Because the details of how Wilson's record fell aren't just interesting, they reveal the hidden machinery that's going to define the next decade of this league. When the new CBA was finalized in March, tucked inside its complex language, somewhere between the revenue-sharing formulas.
The major sticking point throughout this whole negotiation has been revenue share, both what split of revenue share the players would get.
And the travel provisions was a clause that barely made a ripple in mainstream coverage. It was called the EPIC provision. And no, that's not just a flashy marketing name. It's an acronym, Exceptional Performance on Initial Contract. Here's what it does. Pay close attention, because this is the mechanism that flipped the entire script. Under the old CBA, if you were a young player on your rookie scale contract, you were essentially locked in. Didn't matter how many all-star games you made. Didn't matter if you were averaging a double-double every night. Didn't matter if you were carrying your franchise on your back through a deep playoff run. You waited. You played out your deal at rookie scale money. And maybe, when it expired, you'd negotiate something better through restricted free agency, a process that still limited your leverage and kept teams in the driver's seat. The EPIC provision obliterated that ceiling. Under this new rule, if a player on a rookie scale contract earns all WNBA honors first or second team, or wins the league MVP during her first 3 seasons, her team can immediately renegotiate, extend, lock her in at max or supermax money right now, instead of waiting for the contract to expire and risking the chaos of free agency. The logic behind it is elegant. Young stars drive revenue, they sell tickets, they move jerseys, they generate social media engagement that translates directly into the television ratings and sponsorship deals that fund the entire operation. So why should the league force them to play on contracts that pay them $95,000 while they're generating millions in value?
The WNBA is projected to double their revenue this year from 2019, but player salaries have barely budged.
The EP provision was designed to close that gap to reward excellence early and give teams a tool to keep their cornerstones in place. But here's what nobody fully gamed out before it was tested in the real world. The provision created a scenario where a younger player, still technically on her rookie deal, could sign an extension with more total years and therefore more total dollars than a veteran Supermax free agent. Not because she was better, not because she was more accomplished, but because the structure of the mechanism allowed her team to secure more years of commitment at max level money. A'ja Wilson signed as a veteran free agent, 3 years, $5 million. That's how the system works for established stars. But the EPIC provision opened a different door entirely, a door that allowed a 4th-year player to lock in 4 years at escalating max salaries, creating a total package that exceeded Wilson's in raw dollar value. That's not a flaw. That's the future. But the optics? The optics hit different, because exactly 2 days after Wilson set the record, someone walked right through that door. Women's basketball economics. Let's talk about Aliyah Boston. Because while the sports world was still processing the magnitude of Wilson's deal, while pundits were still writing columns about what it meant for women's sports, the Indiana Fever were quietly, almost surgically, assembling the most significant contract extension in WNBA history. On April 17, 2026, Boston agreed to a 4-year, $6.3 million extension with Indiana.
announcing that they're re-signing all-star Aliyah Boston. ESPN reports it is a 4-year deal worth a whopping $6.3 million.
The total breakdown tells its own story. $1 million in 2026, $1.582 million in 2027, $1,740,200 in 2028, and $1,914,220 in 2029. An escalating commitment that grows with the league's cap. A deal that locked a 2-4-year-old cornerstone into a franchise through the end of the decade. The richest total contract in WNBA history. The first extension ever signed under the Epic provision. A record that stood for all of 2 days, being passed like a baton at a relay. And here's the detail that separates Boston from the pack. The detail that tells you everything you need to know about who this player is. She took less money in the first year. Instead of accepting the $1.19 million max she was eligible for in 2026, Boston agreed to $1 million, that $190,000 she voluntarily left on the table. It gave the Fever crucial cap flexibility to retain other key players. To keep Kelsey Mitchell, who had just signed a $1.4 million supermax deal of her own. To bring back Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hall. To preserve the infrastructure around the team's stars instead of forcing the front office into impossible choices. Let me say that again. The player signing the biggest deal in league history volunteered a pay cut in year 1 so her team could be better. That's not just smart. That's leadership. That's a player who understands on a level that goes beyond the negotiating table that championships aren't won by individuals. They're won by rosters. Now let's sit with the contrast for a moment, because it's fascinating. A'ja Wilson is the WNBA's alpha, the 4-time MVP, the player who has earned the right, through years of sustained dominance, to be the highest paid player in the sport. Her deal was 3 years, $5 million, roughly $1.67 million per year.
The largest deal in the league's history. Wilson is signing a 3-year, $5 million supermax contract to return.
In terms of annual value, she still sits at the top. Nobody is challenging that, but Boston's deal at $6.3 million total surpassed Wilson's $5 million in the number that grabs the headlines, the number that trends on social media, the number that casual fans see and immediately form a narrative around. And the way she handled it was quintessentially Aliyah. No flexing, no calculated social media post, no subtle shots at Wilson. When reporters asked about the deal, she kept it simple and warm. Super blessed. God is great, man. To get that extension, I'm super excited about it. She told them her agent handled the negotiations while she sat back, watched a good show on TV, and waited for the call. No drama, no ego, just quiet confidence in a system that rewarded her consistency. Here's what makes this narrative even richer. Both Wilson and Boston played their college basketball at South Carolina under Dawn Staley. They came through the same program, learned the same values, competed in the same system. Wilson was the trailblazer. Boston was the heir. And now, in the span of 48 hours, the heir had signed a bigger total deal than the trailblazer. The internet, predictably, tried to turn it into beef. Wilson versus Boston, Aces versus Fever, the established queen versus the young pretender. And sure, the competitive tension between the two franchises is real. The Fever pushed the Aces to the second round of the 2025 playoffs, with Boston shouldering the load, while Caitlin Clark battled injuries and only appeared in 13 games. But this isn't a rivalry built on animosity. It's a rivalry built on respect, on shared origins, on two players who learned the game from the same coach, who carry the same values, and who are now from opposite sides of the conference, elevating each other and the league simultaneously. That's not drama. That's exactly the kind of competition a growing league needs. But the real question hovering over all of this, it isn't about Wilson versus Boston, it's about what happens next. The Caitlin Clark effect. If you've been within arm's reach of a television, a phone, or a casual sports conversation at any point in the last 2 years, you know this name. But even if you think you understand the Caitlin Clark phenomenon, the actual scope of her impact might still surprise you. Because Caitlin Clark didn't just enter the WNBA, she detonated inside of it like a force of nature that nobody had a contingency plan for. In her rookie season with the Indiana Fever in 2024, the numbers were staggering. Rookie of the Year, All WNBA First Team.
Indiana Fever guard Caitlin Clark was named WNBA Rookie of the Year on Thursday.
Fever home game attendance surged by 264%. Merchandise sales spiked by over 1,200%. League Pass subscriptions more than tripled. Monthly active users on the WNBA app jumped by 613%. Of the 24 WNBA-related broadcasts that season, drawing over 1 million viewers, 21 of them featured Clark. All 3 games that drew more than 20,000 fans included the Fever. One economist determined that Clark was personally responsible for roughly 26.5% of all WNBA economic activity that year. Merchandise, ticket sales, television revenue, everything. His projection for her 2025 impact? $875 million, with the potential to eclipse a billion from one player. In a league that was valued at less than that in total just a few years before she arrived. And here's the connective tissue that ties the entire story together. The WNBA's one-year, $2.2 billion media rights deal with Disney, NBC Universal, and Amazon. The deal that tripled the league's annual media revenue from $50 million to $200 million per year was signed after Clark's debut season. That deal became the financial foundation for the new CBA. The new CBA created the $7 million salary cap. The $7 million salary cap enabled the Supermax contracts. The Supermax contracts produced Wilson's $5 million deal and Boston's $6.3 million extension. Follow the money backward and you find Caitlin Clark's fingerprints on all of it. Not exclusively, the growth of women's sports was already accelerating. Players like Sabrina Ionescu and Angel Reese were driving their own cultural moments. And the WNBA's expansion to Golden State, Toronto, and Portland reflected broader institutional momentum. But Clark was the accelerant, the catalyst that turned simmering growth into a bonfire. Now here's where the future gets really interesting. Clark is entering her 3rd WNBA season in 2026, returning from an injury-shortened 2025 campaign where she played only 13 games.
Caitlin Clark did not miss a step after being sidelined for 5 games with a quad injury. Are you serious, Caitlin Clark?
Because she earned all WNBA first-team honors as a rookie, she already qualifies for an epic extension after this season, the exact same provision that just made Aliyah Boston the highest-paid player in league history. Fever general manager Amber Cox has been transparent about the plan. She told reporters the franchise intends to keep both Boston and Clark for the duration of their careers. The epic provision is the mechanism that makes it possible locking in cornerstones before restricted free agency creates uncertainty. But here's the financial math that should make every Fever fan both thrilled and slightly nervous. Clark's projected extension would be worth at least $1.3 million annually, 17% of the salary cap at the max level. But if she wins MVP this season, the Supermax kicks in. 20% of the cap, roughly $1.7 million per year. Run those numbers out over 4 or 5 years, and you're looking at a total contract that could push well past $8 million, a number that would obliterate every record currently on the books. Combined with Boston's deal, Those two contracts alone could consume nearly 40% of Indiana's total salary cap by 2028. Two players, 40% of the budget. That means hard roster decisions are coming for everyone else wearing a Fever jersey. Players like Cunningham and Hull, currently on one-year deals, could become financial casualties of the franchise's investment in its two superstars. And Clark brings an additional dimension that no other player in the league does. Her endorsement portfolio, reportedly including an 8-year $28 million deal with Nike, already dwarfs her WNBA salary by orders of magnitude. Her agent has openly stated that it would be impossible to pay Clark what she's actually worth to the league through salary alone. She ranks among Fanatics' top 20 best-selling athletes across all sports. Not just women's basketball, not just basketball, but all sports. 6th among all basketball players, including the NBA. That reality, a player whose market value is fundamentally larger than the system designed to pay her, is the kind of disruption that doesn't just affect one franchise. It forces an entire league to rethink its economics from the ground up. Player power shift. Step back from the dollar figures for a moment. Step back from the contract comparisons, the EPIC provision mechanics, the salary cap projections. Look at the whole picture. A year ago, the highest paid player in the WNBA was making $250,000. Today, multiple players across the league are earning over $1 million. Role players and solid contributors who aren't even all-stars players like Jessica Shepard and Temi Fagbenle are signing million-dollar deals. The first overall pick in the 2026 draft, Azzi Fudd.
First pick in the 2026 WNBA draft, the Dallas Wings select Azzi Fudd, University of Connecticut.
Will earn $500,000 in her rookie season. A number that would have been the league maximum not long ago is now a starting salary for a first-round pick. This isn't incremental growth. This is a structural revolution, and it's being driven by the collision of three forces that have never aligned like this in women's sports history. The first is player advocacy. The Players Union didn't just negotiate, they leveraged. They timed their CBA opt-out perfectly, threatening action during the league's peak visibility window. The result was a 7-year agreement that included the largest pay increase in sports history, expanded revenue sharing, and mechanisms like the EPIC provision that give players real financial agency earlier in their careers. The second is star power, a constellation of athletes who have transcended basketball and become cultural institutions.
Here's A'ja Wilson knocking down her first look.
Wilson's dominance, Boston's consistency, Clark's commercial gravity, Ionescu's rivalry with Clark that draws millions of viewers, Angel Reese's ability to generate conversation and engagement. These aren't just basketball players, they're brands, economic engines. The reason Tom Brady invested in the Aces, Sue Bird bought into the Storm, and new ownership groups are lining up to pay expansion fees that would have seemed absurd 5 years ago. The third is structural innovation. The EPIC provision is a philosophical statement disguised as a salary mechanism. It says, if you're exceptional early, you get paid early. You don't serve your time. You don't wait for the veterans to cycle out. You earn your way into max money based on performance.
Caitlin Clark over to Copper. Copper now to Angel Reese. Right back to Copper. A nice give and go for Team USA.
And your team locks you in before the market has a chance to pull you away. That's a direct challenge to the old order. And it's the reason a 2-4-year-old in her 4th season can hold a bigger total contract than a 4-time MVP with 3 championship rings. Some people look at that and see an injustice, a system that has moved too fast, rewarding potential and contract length over proven, sustained greatness. A'ja Wilson has done more than Aliyah Boston. That's not debatable. And yet the total dollar number next to Boston's name is bigger. That stings, at least optically. But others look at the same situation and see exactly what the league needs: a system that incentivizes excellence from day one. That keeps young superstars in small markets like Indianapolis instead of letting them flee to the coasts. That tells the next Juju Watkins, the next Paige Buchers.
Isazura keeps it alive. Here's Becker's a deep one. He's good.
The next kid shooting jumpers in a high school gym somewhere. Your prime years have value, and the WNBA is going to pay you for them. Both perspectives are valid, and the productive tension between them is what makes this era of women's basketball the most compelling chapter in its history. What we've seen in April 2026 isn't a conclusion. It's a transition point that most people won't recognize until long after it's already passed. Because when a league starts breaking its own records within days, when contracts become temporary headlines instead of historical markers, something deeper is happening beneath the surface. The structure itself is no longer fixed, it's moving. And in that kind of environment, the old idea of the biggest deal starts to lose its meaning. Not because money doesn't matter, but because the system generating that money is no longer stable enough for any single number to stay at the top for long. So the real question shifts. It's no longer just who signs the next record-breaking contract. It's who is positioned to influence what record-breaking even means in the first place. As new stars emerge, new rules take shape, and the balance between talent, timing, and power keeps shifting in real time. And maybe the most important detail in all of this is how quickly we've stopped being surprised. Because once a system starts changing this fast, the only predictable thing left is that it won't slow down for anyone watching. So the question becomes, in a league evolving at this speed, are we still witnessing individual careers and contracts? Or are we watching the early stages of something that will redefine what a professional sports league even is?